The land was already unusable for anything else, so putting panels on it did not take away from farms, homes, or nature. It simply put empty space to work. But here is the twist. A solar farm this size is impressive on its own, but it is only the first piece of a much bigger puzzle. Solar power has one big weakness that every solar farm on the planet struggles with. It is not steady. Clouds roll in without warning. The sun sets every single night without fail. Power goes up and down constantly throughout the day. If this project had stopped here, it would just be a really big solar farm with the exact same old problem every other solar farm has. So engineers did not stop there. They added a second piece specifically designed to smooth out all of that unpredictable power. And that decision is exactly what makes this project different from a normal solar farm. That second piece is where things start to get genuinely clever, and it sets up the real reveal still waiting later in this video. Catching the extra power. Picture a water tank with a hose that is way too strong for it. If you turn that hose on full blast, water splashes everywhere, and most of it goes to waste. Solar power works in a surprisingly similar way. On a bright, clear day, the panels can produce way more electricity than anyone actually needs at that exact moment. Without somewhere to put that extra power, a huge amount of it simply gets wasted. That is the job of the second piece of this project, a battery storage station built right next to the solar farm. It is not a small battery either. It is rated at 60 megawatts and can hold 120 megawatt hours of energy at once. Its whole job is to soak up extra electricity when the sun is strong, then release that stored power back out when clouds roll in or the sun goes down for the night. It smooths out the bumps so the power flowing out stays steady instead of spiking and crashing throughout the day. You can think of it like a bucket sitting under a leaky roof during a storm. When the rain pours down hard, the bucket fills up and holds onto that extra water instead of letting it splash uselessly onto the ground. Later, when the rain slows down, that stored water can still be used. A battery does the exact same thing with electricity, just on a much bigger and much faster scale. Batteries like this are incredibly good at their job, but only for short stretches of time. Most batteries of this type can only hold their charge for somewhere between 4 and 8 hours before they need to be recharged again. They are fast, they are efficient, but they were never built to store power for weeks or months at a time, and that limitation matters a lot more than it might sound. Which brings us to the piece of this project that has energy experts around the world paying such close attention, the piece that actually solves the problem batteries alone cannot. The fuel made from water. Here is where things get genuinely wild. Instead of stopping at batteries, engineers built a third piece onto this project. A plant that turns extra electricity into something called green hydrogen. Here is how it works in simple terms. You take water and you run electricity through it. That electricity splits the water apart into two gases, hydrogen and oxygen. As long as the electricity used to do this comes from a clean source like solar power, the hydrogen you get out the other end is called green hydrogen. No fossil fuels are burned in the process. The only thing left over is oxygen, which is completely harmless. This hydrogen plant at the site can produce 1,500 cubic meters of hydrogen every single hour. Over a full year, that adds up to 482 tons of high-purity green hydrogen. And unlike electricity sitting in a battery, hydrogen gas can be compressed, pumped into tanks, and stored for weeks, months, or even years without losing a single bit of its power along the way. Think about that difference for a second. A battery is like a cup of water you have to drink quickly before it spills. Hydrogen is like a sealed barrel you can store away and come back to whenever you want. That difference alone is exactly why this project has energy experts so interested. There is another advantage that often gets missed too. Hydrogen does not just sit still like stored electricity has to. Once it is compressed into a tank, it becomes